Hi there, Top Fun Guy here, and I just thought I would do a video on my 16-foot schooner that I built several years ago. Don't remember when, probably 6 or 7 years ago, I guess. So this is a George Buehler design, and it is its design is called Happy Camper of Pogo Pogo. I think I mentioned in my previous video that that's a strange name, but beautiful boat. So I haven't had it out for several years. When I first built it, I had it moored in Vancouver, English Bay, underneath the Burrard Bridge, and I would go sailing on it every weekend, almost rain or shine, wintertime, summertime, fall, and it was a great, safe boat to go sailing in. So I'll show you a little bit more about the boat and some close-ups of all the details. So this boat, which I named Blueberry, I built probably 7 or 8 years ago. Don't remember exactly, I could find out, but not all that important. It is a gaff-rigged schooner. So what makes it a schooner is that the foremast, which is the one on the right, is shorter than the mainmast, which is the one on the left. It's got 2 gaff-rigged sails. Those are the gaffs. The mainsail has a boom, and the foresail has no boom. So the foresail, when I tack, I have to when I come about, I have to tack the foresail. The jib is self-tacking, self-tending. It's got a boom on it, which wasn't part of the original design, but I thought that's, if I was sailing this single-handed, I wouldn't want to have to tack 2 sails. That would be a lot of work. So the boom is obviously self-tending, and the main is self-tending. You can see in the main there, I've got a set of reefing points, and I've got a reefing system set up. Never really had to use it. I have in the past just for something to do. But the nice thing about a schooner is that when you're out sailing in light winds, you have all 3 sails up, and the boat's extremely well balanced. If the wind picks up to the point where you feel like you want to shorten sail, you can just pull down the foresail here, which is a sail in the middle, very quickly. You just lower the halyard, and the foresail drops into the boat, and you're now sailing under 2 sails, under the jib and the mainsail, and the boat is still very well balanced. If it gets extremely windy, you can drop the jib, drop the mainsail, and run under the foresail only, and that's not a lot of sail area, so you can sail under extremely rough, windy conditions quite safely. You can see here that for a day sailor, 16-foot day sailor, this boat is very roomy. You can sail with a total of 5-6 people in the boat, and it's quite roomy. You don't feel cramped at all, and nothing really intrudes into the cockpit of the boat. I'll show you some other views now. So as I said before, all the spars on the boat are fur. This is the bowsprit. I fabricated all the fittings out of mild steel and had them galvanized. So that was pretty appropriate for the kind of boat that it is. Just show you around if there's anything worth noting. I will point it out. There's the bit, mooring bit. Chain plates for the bowsprit. Big heavy iron chain plates for the shrouds. More of the details. So that's the end of the jib boom. The halyard cleats. That's how the Sails are laced to the mast. That's the gooseneck. Maybe I can get a better view from the other side. There's the mainsail boom. Here's the setup I have for reefing the main. Yeah, this is probably better. You can see the setup for reefing the main. So that's that. This is something I devised for the main sheet. So the tiller goes underneath it, and that's the traveler there. So that just goes back and forth, depending on what tack you're on. And that I welded up to the gudgeon. It's the pintles and gudgeons. Very heavy galvanized iron again. There's 3 of them. The rudder is 1.5" thick plywood. These big mahogany cheek pieces on it. The tiller's heavy. Everything's heavy on this boat. Nothing will ever break. This thing will last longer than me or anybody I know. The hull is planked in 2 layers of 3/8 marine plywood, so it's a full 3/4 of an inch thick. The keel, as you'll see, I just mention that I had this boat in the water for 3 years, and this is the bottom paint after 3 years. So it needs a coat of bottom paint, but I won't do that until I put it in the water again. No sense in doing it and letting it dry out and become useless. Coamings in this boat, and all the trim is made out of nice mahogany, 3/4 inch mahogany. A friend of mine got for me. This brace for the mainmast is also mahogany. There's the fitting for the mainmast, again welded steel, galvanized. All the frames on this boat are 1.5" thick fir that I cut up on my bandsaw out of big timbers that I bought. I'll show you the keel in a second. Here's the keel. 3.5 inches, I think, by whatever draft the boat draws. Everything is through bolted with galvanized bolts. The keel is also encapsulated in several layers of fiberglass cloth set in epoxy resin. So the bolts are actually not even really necessary. But everything is, like I say, everything's very heavily built on this boat. All the frames are bolted together. I don't know if you can see that, but they're all bolted to the floor timbers. And all the fastenings are galvanized square cut boat nails, which you can probably see some there. You can see down there. The seats in the center of this boat all slide, so you can position them where you want. And if you take this aft seat and put it here with the forward seat and the seat that goes underneath the foredeck of the boat, you can actually sleep in the boat. It's long enough to sleep in. But like I said, you can move them anywhere you want. I just thought that would be a nice feature for balancing the boat. There's the step of the foremast. And a little Danforth anchor I have, anchor rode. When I'm sailing the boat, I sit here. Obviously, there's the tiller, motor. I'll show you where all the controls are for the sails, so you can see that it's very easy to single hand. Here's the main sheet. Comes down to this cleat here. It's not a good idea to cleat a main sheet, but I often do when the weather's not too bad. This boat's very forgiving. It's very heavy, and I've never even come close to having an issue with it. There's the main sheet. Jib sheet right here goes up to the self-tending jib right there. Comes down here, and I can cleat it off on this cleat, which is the one just off to the side of the center cleat. And the foresail, you can see how this works here. So I pull it through this cleat, it's tied off there, and then it goes to this sheave to the foresail. And then when I'm sailing, I wrap it around this cleat. And then of course it's the opposite when you're on the other tack. Here's the sheet for that, goes around this. It's hard to see, but you get the idea. There's more of the reefing system. Jesus, it's getting windy. The outboard motor is a 4 horsepower Yamaha long shaft 4-stroke outboard, which has almost no hours on it. It's a little big for this boat, really. Probably only need about a 2 horse, but it's hard to find a 2 horse with gears, so that's why I chose this engine. How I changed the gears is I made up an arm on the gear shifter. You probably can't see it very well, but I've got these 2 strings with balls, so I can just change the forward and reverse by pulling on the string or pulling on the one without the ball. And the throttle, I've just disconnected the throttle cable on the engine, and I've put in this little throttle cable here. That's high, that's low. That's actually a choke cable off my old 1970 MG Midget. I had an extra one, so I use that. Works great. Bilge pump, manual bilge pump. It's a very dry boat to sail, so you never need to pump it out unless it's been sitting for quite a long time with the cover on it, and you do get a little tiny bit of water in, not much, maybe half a cup. And under the aft deck is a storage compartment where I keep the fuel for the outboard, and I've got a few shelves in here for odds and ends and bits. You can see the heavy framing of the boat, transom framing, sort of limber holes everywhere, plywood gussets on all the frames with square cut galvanized boat nails, and frames bolted together. Yeah, so this boat's not going anywhere fast. Well, other than sailing fast. The boat's a very fast boat. This is what it looks like when I'm sitting at the helm position. Nice long bowsprit. Imagine the hole you'd knock in a boat if you hit it with that. I also made 2 nice oars for the boat, well, out of fur. You see, with leather collars. They start out square, and then they go round and taper down to the blades. And you can row this boat. There are the oarlock sockets, and all you have to do is take the tiller and put these bungee cords over these cleats so the boat steers straight. I also made the trailer for this boat and had it galvanized. The nice thing about this trailer is it comes apart completely, so if the boat's in the water for a long period of time, you can take the trailer apart and put it in a fairly small space, which is handy so you don't have to look at a boat trailer all the time. So this boat would be very difficult to launch with a regular trailer with a regular length tongue on it. So I made an extension for it, and I just pull out this pin, and this is a wire that allows you to extend this piece. This piece extends out quite far. So what happens is you pull out the pin, you slide this tongue out, slide it out, slide it out, slide it out, and then when the wire is tight, you put the pin back in, and there's a hole in the end of this piece that lines up with that pin. So it sticks out quite far and allows you to launch the boat in, to get the boat fairly deep in the water to launch it. It's got a winch. It's the kind of boat that you don't pull up onto the trailer. You basically put the trailer down to a certain level and then float the boat onto the trailer. And that works well. So that's, like I say, that's all galvanized. And it comes apart. And these foamy things are to hold the masts on the trailer. And the boat is all taken down. Here's another view of the boat with the sails up. These are Lee sails. I had these made for the boat. A little heavier duty than common sail thickness that you'd use for a dinghy. Because this is actually, well, the best way to describe this boat is it is a small big boat. It's built like a big boat. The size of materials, which boat builders call the scantlings. The scantlings are what you'd find probably in a 35 foot boat. 3/4 inch hull, big frames, big keel. And here she is with the sails stowed, ready for the cover. So this is how the boat looks when you're motoring out to a decent area where you can go sailing. So it's a few lines here and there, but other than that, it's got lots of room for motoring. Here's my boat with the cover on it. This is made out of sunbrella, so it breathes and it also sheds the water, and the boat remains quite dry over a long period of time. The only place water could enter really is just at the masts, and it's just a very, very small amount of water would collect in the boat over a long period of time. And then of course there's a bilge pump to pump it out if you need to. So you can actually sleep in the boat. As I was saying earlier, the seats can be moved around in position so that you can sleep in the forward part of the boat with your legs sticking under the foredeck, and you can access inside of the boat through the center section, which has 2 zippers, which you can open from inside the boat or outside of the boat, and you can put this whole cover on the boat while you're standing in it. That just takes a minute or 2 to put it on. But that's the boat cover. I'll show you from this side. Everything's nicely protected. And it breathes. And it's got these little bags of sand that clip on to keep the cover weighted down in the wind. So here's the boat on the trailer, all ready to go. Got the masts down where they're stored when the boat's moved. And yeah, the setup time, it took me about an hour and 15 minutes to rig the boat ready for sail, and I hadn't done it in several years, and I managed to eat an egg salad sandwich during that time as well. so that's not too bad. And taking it down is a little bit faster, so it's not not too bad. It's not as easy as some boats to set up, but then it's a lot nicer than most sailboats, I think. It's got beautiful classic lines. It sails really well. It's very fast and very seaworthy. The sail area for the size of boat is very large, but the boat can handle the sail area because it's got a big keel full of concrete and scrap metal, but made of concrete and full of scrap metal, so it's quite heavy. The boat's narrow, can carry its sail in quite windy conditions. I often would take this boat out when a lot of bigger boats were deciding to come back in. And very exciting to sail, yet very safe and comfortable. Pretty rare in a boat for a day sailor. You know, you're gonna go out, you're not gonna get wet, guaranteed. You can sit on the boat and have your tea. You can let go of the tiller and pour your tea, and it will still be going in the same direction as when you let go of the tiller. So, like I say, it's like sailing a big boat, although it's a small boat. And it'll stay nicely at a mooring if you like to. You don't need to worry about it. It's not like it's going to flip over. I did mention that the bottom paint was, the boat was in the water for 3 years, and this is what's left of the bottom paint. I know the camera kind of fizzled out at that point, but you can see that I need to put new bottom paint on the boat, which I will do next time I launch it, because most bottom paints have to be immersed before a certain amount of time, otherwise it become ineffective. So when I did the bottom paint last time, I think I used 1 quart for a couple coats. This stuff's expensive, but for a small boat it's not too bad. And other than that, I don't know what I can say about the boat, other than that it's really heavily built, and if you take care of this boat, it should last a lifetime easily. And it's very low maintenance with the cover on it, and it's a pleasure to sail. So there you go, that's Blueberry.